Bzz. Hi, I've wanted to do an Autodesk Fusion 360 tutorial for quite some time, and the other day I was browsing Thingiverse and I came across a phone stand that was really well designed. This is what it looks like. It can take different size phones. It rotates this way, and an elastic controls the friction, and it rotates this way again with an elastic controlling the friction. So I studied it for quite some time and learned how to make the bottom part, the base. So this is what I've produced, and that's what we're going to make today. We'll start by creating this sketch. Just looking at the line lengths, there's 6, 12, 20, and 10. 76 for the long foot and 42 for the short foot, and the circle is 43. Let's start sketching. So we say create sketch. We'll sketch on the XY plane. We'll use the circle command. We'll use the dimension command, and we'll type in 43. Then we'll use the line command, and we'll set it to construction, and we'll just put some points at the outside of the circle, and then we'll just create a couple other ones that don't have an endpoint. And we can create one across the top. We want one here. We want another one here. And the last one down here. Let's constrain these up. Just using the dimension key, we know this is to be 6. This is to be 12. This one is to be 20. And this last one is to be 10. Now let's put them where they should be. So I'll just select the 2 points where I want them, and I'll midpoint constrain them. Now the midpoint's already selected, so now I should be able to just click through where I want these to go. Now lastly, let's dimension the short foot using the D, and that will be 42 millimeters, and this one shall be 76. We'll finish the sketch and take a look. Now we're going to sketch 4 more sketches on the planes that were the lines of the previous sketch that we did. So we'll just note them here height-wise. They're 4, 7, 10, and 4. So let's go back to our first sketch, and we'll start at this end. So we'll say construct a plane at an angle, and we'll choose the end line and turn that to 90 degrees. Now we can actually select that and create a sketch right on that end. Now we need to have a look where we want to project those points. So it's this one and this one. And we want to use the rectangle command here. And we want to dimension these to the aforementioned 4 in height. And of course the width will be prescribed by constraining it to these points here using the coincident constraint. And then we'll zoom in and do the same for these 2 points. And that completes that sketch. Return our model. And now let's do the next one. So I'll pre-select the line before I actually do the offset plane. We'll construct the plane at an angle. Sorry, not offset, but plane at an angle. 90 degrees. We'll select that plane. We will create the sketch right there. Scooch down a little bit so we can see the points. We'll hit P to project onto the 2 points that we want, and then the rectangle command. And we're going to create a dimension now of 7. So we'll dimension this side to 7, and that's the only dimension we type in because we're going to coincident them here and here. And we'll finish that sketch. We can home our model, choose the next line. We'll do a construct plane at an angle. That will be 90 degrees again. Select the sketch, create the sketch. Scooch down a little bit, and we'll project onto the 2 points that we want. And we'll use the rectangle key, and we will set that to 10 high. So we'll dimension this to 10 millimeters. And then we'll constrain these 2 points using the coincident constraint, and again using the coincident constraint. Finish that sketch. Look at our model. And let's do the last one. So we'll click the last one, construct plane at an angle, 90 degrees. We'll select the plane. We'll create the sketch. We'll scooch down a little bit. We'll project onto those two dots and then use the rectangle key. And we will set the height of this one to 4 millimeters. So we'll dimension this to 4. And then we'll constrain this dot and this dot using the coincident, and again using those two. Let's take a look at our model. We'll create this sketch, which is the addition of these three circles at a height of 50, 80, and 100. These two circles will just project from this, so they will be 43, and this circle will have its own setting of 30 millimeters. We will construct an offset plane from the base at 50. We'll construct another offset plane from the base at 80, and we'll construct the last offset plane from the base at 100. Now if we look at our model, we have three planes to sketch on. We'll start this one, create sketch. We'll use the circle key and then the dimension key and make that 30 millimeters. The next two will be the same as the bottom circle. We'll click the sketch. We'll project onto this outer circle. Use the circle key to snap to the previous circle and do the last sketch, which will be the exact same thing. Create a sketch. We'll project onto the outer ring. Use the circle command to snap, finish sketch, and look at our model. Now we're going to simply connect these four circles together using the loft tool. We'll create a loft and just select in order, and it creates a new body over here. We can create the feet in a similar manner, but if we do project from here to here, we'll have a big gap here and we'll have a big gap down here. So what we'll do is we'll project this sketch onto the face of this by using the split tool, the split face tool. So the faces to split is this. The splitting tool will be this sketch, and we will choose closest point. Click OK. Now we can loft these together. So we'll create the loft and we'll choose the two surfaces we want. Now we've lofted them together. I'm going to create a new body so that when we hollow this out, it doesn't hollow out the feet. Now we'll do the same over here. Same method. Modify, split face, select the body. The splitting tool will be that. Click OK. And now we'll create the loft from here to here. Again, it's a new body. Now we're going to copy the feet in a circular pattern around this model. So we'll use the create pattern, circular pattern. The type that we will be selecting is bodies, because that's what we created here. The object will be this body. The axis will be the blue Z axis here, and we want it to be 90 degrees. So 360 divided by 4 should give us 90, but we have too many legs now. So we'll turn off the two legs that we don't want, and we'll click OK. We're just going to repeat that same process for the short leg. Circular pattern, it's bodies. This is the object. The axis will be, the object will be the foot. So we've got two selected here. So I'll unselect that and start again. The axis will be the blue line. We want 4 of them and then turn 2 of them off. Click OK. Now we want to hollow out the shaft and make it 4 millimeters thick. We'll use the shell command. We'll choose the top, the bottom, and we'll type in 4. Now we want to create the bowl in the top. We're going to use the surface tools to patch the top. And then we're going to create a sketch on top of this so that we can put a line through it on the axis that we wish to cut. So we'll just go from the middle to the edge, and again, middle to the edge using a solid line. We'll finish that construction. We'll use the revolve tool. We'll select a side. We'll select the axis, and we'll tell it that we want it to do it 180 degrees. Now we can look at the body and see if it's there. So we do have a bowl, but it's yellow. So we need to thicken it up because the yellow indicates that it's just a surface. So we'll use the thicken tool. So create, thicken, we'll select the bowl, and we'll tell it that it should be 4 millimeters thick. Now we're going to make this whole thing a single body, because right now we have the shaft, the 4 feet, and we have the bowl. Let's use the shaft as the main that we're going to roll it up to. So I'm just going to call this base, and then we will use the combine tool in the solids menu, and we're going to select the target body is already selected. The tool bodies will be these 4 and the bowl. So there should be 5 selected. We do want them to join. We don't want to maintain these separate bodies even after we roll it up, so we don't tick that. And we don't want a new component. So we'll click OK. All of our bodies have disappeared, and we have just one. To check that, to make sure that this is indeed one body, we'll do the section analysis based on this plane, and we can look at it. There are no solid black lines delineating where one piece is separate from anything else on this model. So we've done it properly. The feet need to be prettied up. They look very rough. So I'm going to use the fillet command, F, it's this one here, and I'm going to select these 3 lines on each foot. Type in 2 millimeters and repeat fillet, line, 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 2 millimeters. Fillet, line, 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 2 millimeters. And lastly, fillet, line, 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 2 millimeters. Now we want to do it at the base. So I'll hit the F key, and if you've done it right, you'll get one continuous from down the side across the top and down the other side. That's perfect. We'll make that 2 millimeters. We'll hit the fillet key, select that one, 2 millimeters, fillet key, that one, 2 millimeters, and lastly, fillet key, that one, 2 millimeters. Now we'll create the hole that was seen in the top of the bowl using this sketch, which is 8 wide and 6.5 tall. We'll create a sketch right on the top here and start by creating a construction line from the center to and snap it to here, and then press the tab key and type in 45 degrees. That'll give us the angle we want. Then we'll use the rectangle key and we'll select that whole thing and make it solid lines, and then we'll dimension them to 8 millimeters and 6.5 millimeters, and then we'll select the whole thing again and hit the M key to move it, and we'll move it 45 degrees. And then I'd like the center of this to be in the center of that, and I think the easiest way is to just create a construction line from the midpoint of the top 2 lines. Then we can zoom in and select the line and shift select the dot, and we'll midpoint constrain those, and we'll finish the sketch. And then we can select the whole thing, press the E to extrude, and then we can push down a little bit and tell it that we want to cut all. And that'll just push through to the bottom of the bowl, and we have our cut. So that's perfect. Now we'll put a notch in the top that's 7 wide and 10.75 deep. Now we don't have anywhere to draw this sketch, so what we'll do is we'll create a new plane that we can use. So we'll construct a plane at an angle, and we'll select the Z-axis again and type in 135. And that presents us with the angle that we want to sketch on. So we can create our sketch on that newly created angle. And now we can draw our rectangle, and I'm going to do that first, but there's nowhere to project it to. So let's dimension it up to what we saw, which was, let's go back and check, was 7 and 10.75. So 7 and 10.75. Now, where are we going to constrain this to? So we need to put it on this round rim, which is not easy to do. Actually, or the inside rim, it's fine. So let's hit the P key and let's see what it offers us. So looks like it's giving me a nice line there, a red line right across. So I'm going to choose that and say OK. So now I actually have a line that I can put these two together. So I'll select this line and I'll shift select that line, and then I'll midpoint the two of them, and it should put me exactly where I want to be. We'll finish that sketch. We can now select that and hit extrude, and we can just pull it clean out. As long as it says cut, it doesn't really matter how far you pull it, and that's going to do the job. This is the sketch we want to make for the very end of the elastic holder right here. So it's this piece right here. And we're doing that piece first because there's already a plane that we can draw it on. Let's do it. So it's 5 by 7. So the plane that we created earlier will allow us to draw the drawing right there where we had it before. So let's create a sketch on the plane that we created before that is not showing. So we'll go and turn it on, and then select it. Now we want to actually, let's draw it first. So we'll use the rectangle tool and we'll dimension it up to the 5 wide that we saw in the sketch and 7 tall. There's nowhere to put it right now. So I'm going to turn on this first sketch and I'm going to project to that center dot. And now we have some place to put this. So we can put the bottom line, shift click, and midpoint. And that's perfect. Now I'm not going to push or pull this because I'm going to loft it to a similar design on the other side. This is the sketch that we're going to draw on the opposite face. It's the same width of 5, but it's 10 tall. Now we don't actually have a plane that we can use. Even if I turn this one on, you can see that that needs to be drawn over here. So why don't we just use this plane and bring it out? So we'll do that. Construct an offset plane from this plane, and we'll drag it out. Now here we're just going to eyeball it so that it's at least inside the circle, but no further. Click OK. Now we'll draw on that sketch. So I'll select it, create a sketch, and I'll use the rectangle key. We'll dimension this to the 5 wide, the 10 tall, and then we're going to use the bottom here and put it on the dot here. So we'll just shift select those and midpoint constrain those. Now I didn't project that point earlier, so I don't think I can go to it. So I'll use P and then select it, and now I can actually select the dot and shift the bottom and midpoint constrain. And now I have my drawing exactly where I want it. Now we want to loft the two drawings, the two sketches that we just did. So I'm going to turn the body off so that I can see them, and I'm going to zoom in so I can select them easily, shift select. Then I'll turn the body back on, the base body, and I'll use the create loft tool, but instead of cutting, we'll of course join. And that's created the base for the tool. Now we're going to create a sketch right here, so I'll select that and say create sketch, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit and just push up, and we want to actually create a notch right here. So I'm going to use the line tool, and I'm going to make sure it's a construction line for the first reference here, and then not a construction line for what we want to build. So I'm just going to arbitrarily choose a spot here, doesn't matter where. I'm going to go up, then I'm going to hold down the mouse button and drag, and that creates an arch. I'll let go and then click again. Sorry, click and come back down to the base. Now they are properly constrained. You can see the tangent constraint, so that means the line, if I did drag this, it wouldn't deform here. It would actually just make the radius larger. So let's constrain these up now. Using the dimension key, I'll make that 2 millimeters. I'll make the radius 2 millimeters. And now I want to make this length from here to here. Now I could select this point and do it this way, or I could have used the trim key and cut out this middle line, but I'll do it this way because it's already selected. I want that to be 4 millimeters. We'll finish the sketch, then I'll select it, and I'll hit the E for extrude, and I want to cut and I want to go, well, let's turn it around so it knows which direction to go, because it could go this way. And we want it to go to the object, which would be the back side of this. That's completely cut. That's perfect. And let's make this look a little prettier. I'm going to hit the F key for fillet, and then we'll just select these 4 lines. And we'll make that a 2mm fillet. Let's just have a look around and see how it looks. I think it looks great. Well, that concludes part 1. If you do want to print your design, I used PLA, I used 40% infill, and I used supports. I will be posting parts 2 and 3 as soon as I've made them. Thank you for watching.